Welcome to another episode of Is This a Great Game or What? My Hall of Fame dad, Tim Kirkshin. I'm Jeff Kirkshin, and we're coming to you on a Wednesday because we've decided moving forward to split up our long Tuesday episodes that usually features all the great stuff in the top, and then an interview. You'll be more likely to hear our interviews now on Wednesdays.
Right, and this week we have Jim Boeheim, one of the great basketball coaches of all time, spent his entire career at Syracuse. Jeff, he was hilarious. He was delightful. He was insightful. We talked about basketball, of course, but mostly we talked about baseball. We talked about Otto The Orange. We talked about golf. We talked about tennis. We covered all sorts of bases with Jim Boeheim.
Nice little dad joke there. All sorts of bases. We're a baseball podcast. Nice one, Dad.
Yeah, and my favorite part, and wait till you hear this, I asked him, okay, Jim Boeheim, good player, by the way, in his collegiate days. I said, Jim Boeheim in 1965, what does he do against his two sons, both of whom played at Syracuse? You need to stick around and listen to that. And I have to make a point, Jeff. Jim Boeheim is 80 years old. He looks like he looks younger than me. Now, granted, I'm an old man now, but I'm only 68. He looks younger than I do.
He looks good. He's moving good, and he always taller than you think he is when you see Coach in person.
Right. He is. We had such a good time. I knew we would have a good time with him, but we had even more fun than anticipated. Wait till you hear this.
And remember, we recorded this in front of a live studio audience at the Newhouse School at the Sports Media Center. Big shout out to the team there. Thank you for having us. So this is a live to tape, so to speak, interview with Coach Boeheim. Is this a great game or what? I'm Jeff Kirkshin with the Hall of Famer Tim Kirkshin, my dad, and the Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim is our guest today at the Newhouse Sports Media Center. We are at Syracuse University in the Newhouse School. Coach, thank you for being our guest today. This is a dream come true.
It's great to be here on a baseball podcast. I don't have to talk about basketball.
Not at all.
That's pretty good.
So, Coach, I don't know if you know, but Jeffrey went here for 4 years, and he was the mascot. He was Otto The Orange for 4 years. I spent $50,000 a year for him to come here, and he ran around in an orange suit for 4 years.
$50,000, you can get a discount or something. It's more than that. Golly, my son went to Cornell. It was like 80 before it even started. Before anything else started. It reminds me of one basketball story. Colgate had a great player. His name was George Dalzell, and he was the player of the year. We voted him player of the year. His senior year, they would give him no money at Colgate, and he was the best player on the team, so he just left. He just went overseas, because he didn't want to pay anymore.
So, Coach, the connection of being able to get you here is a funny one. I'm friends with Kevin Belby, who, obviously was working with the team in his time here. And I asked him, I said, what's the easiest way to get in touch with Coach? And he said, you got to call his wife, Julie Boeheim. She's in charge of his calendar. Similarly to me and my dad and our respective wives, they handle everything in our households. Yeah. So I had your wife's number from my time as Otto The Orange because we did an event for the Jim and Julie Boeheim Foundation where they wanted Otto. Well, your wife insisted on, no, I'm going to pick up Otto. They're not driving an hour and wasting their gas money. So I sat shotgun with your wife my senior year. We drove out there. She was so excited to help me find a place to change and do all of that. So I had her number stored on my phone for 10 years. I texted her during the off season. It took me an hour and a half to craft 3 sentences to make sure it was right. And within 10 minutes, she said, Coach would love to do it.
She's very happy to volunteer me for anything, any call. You're not an exception. I do a lot of events and things that she signs me up for,
right?
With no knowledge, no ask, just here's your schedule. It's like kind of every day. This is what you're doing today. And since I've been retired, it's like hourly.
Right.
It's an hourly schedule. So I have no say.
Right.
Enough of Otto, Coach. This is a baseball podcast. Where did your love of baseball come from?
First game I ever played, we played in neighborhoods, small town, 5,000 people. We had our own teams, different parts of town had their team. We played baseball before anything else, before basketball or football. Little League, of course. I had all the baseball cards of every player in the major leagues, and we played the game that none of these people know about, where you pull the hammer, the ball goes out, and home run, single. They don't know anything about that today. But I had every card, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, in perfect condition. And a few years after I got out of college, I went home to find them. Oh, I cleaned those out. We threw all those out.
Your mom threw them
Everyone.
out?
Everyone. Every team. I had every player on every team. I just would go to the store and just keep buying 5 cents.
Right.
Just keep getting the
Worst
cards.
Worst piece of gum of all time.
Piece of gum, threw it away, got the baseball. I had every, I mean, I'm telling you, when I say every team, every team. It was crazy.
Now, who was your team growing up, and who was your guy growing
I
up?
started out with the Milwaukee Braves because of Hank Aaron and Warren Spahn. I just loved those guys. And I don't know why, but I settled on them. Then the Dodgers crept in because my uncle took me to Ebbets Field. I watched Stan Musial get like 5 hits and beat my Dodgers, of course. I didn't know who he was. I was 8 years old.
Right.
And he just pounded like 2 out and 2 doubles. And who's that guy? You know. And later, a really good friend of mine that played here, George Hicker, became really good friends with Stan the Man Musial and went to all the Cardinals games and lived in LA and named his company Cardinal Industries because of his love for the Cardinals.
That's amazing. Did you meet Stan Musial?
I met him once with George.
What was that like?
Nicest man in the world. But it wasn't like I met Hank Aaron one day in a charity thing. I think we'd been to the Final Four, and he came over to me and said, "Coach, you know, great year." I didn't know. I couldn't say. I couldn't say.
You were speechless.
No, I couldn't say a word. I just like, thanks. You know, I didn't like Hank Aaron. I mean, you know, you got to have one of those guys. I mean, he was mine. I mean, Hank Aaron, that was it. You know, I think I switched to the Dodgers when they traded a couple guys from the Braves, and I said, okay, I'm not with the Braves anymore.
Right. Well, I've told Jeff my Hank Aaron story. He sat next to in the booth for a game we did. 4 innings next to Hank Aaron, an hour and a half with Hank Aaron sitting right next to me. I stopped keeping score of the game, Coach, because I was so mesmerized by Hank Aaron sitting next to me. He was so charming. He was so funny. His recall was amazing. So after the game, I checked Twitter. Never a good idea to do that after you've called a major league game. You know this, right? So some guy writes in. He writes in and he goes, "If anyone ever looks at you like Tim Kirkjian looked at Hank Aaron tonight, you should marry that person." That's how revered Hank Aaron was, and it was with me, but it was, like you said, same way with you.
100%. I mean, I've been around presidents and lucky around a lot of different great people, played golf with Michael Jordan and all that stuff. Not like Hank Aaron. You know, that's why I laugh when people say he's a legend. Yeah, you know, there's minor legends maybe, but like Hank Aaron, he's a major. That's a major legend right there.
So when did you fall in love with the Yankees? When did that happen?
You know, my dad loved the Yankees growing up, so I didn't because we went opposite. Whatever he liked, I was dead against the Yankees. I didn't like them, but I was at a Final Four, and I was walking back from the Final Four, and there's George Steinbrenner, and he says, "Coach, hey, how you doing?" I said, "You know, nice to meet you, George." And he said, "You know, come down and call me." He gave me a card. He said, "Come down, call me. Come down to the stadium." I never thought about it. I didn't go. My kids were got to be about 6 or 7 maybe, and I said, "Let's call." So I called George Steinbrenner. He said, "Yeah, Coach, come on down." So we went down, and we had the mayor's box at that time, an old Yankee Stadium, right next to the dugout. We sit down. Joe Torre comes over. Jeter comes over. All of them come over for big fan, you know, shake hands, talk story. Took Buddy out on the field. Jason Giambi took Buddy out on the field. It was like, what a day. And the Yankees won. I mean, couldn't have been a better day. And we went back kind of once every year for a while. And so we're all Yankee fans, except my daughter. Sissy's not a big fan. She's more of a natural athlete, but doesn't really foul. Somebody asked her what her favorite teams were, and she says the Yankees and the Red Sox. And Jimmy was saying, "Sissy, no. you can't do that.
Right.
It doesn't work. And she still doesn't probably understand. She doesn't understand anything, but she won 3 state championships in basketball.
Right.
So she knows how to play, but she doesn't follow everything.
So the interaction with those players, like Jeter and Giambi, was there anything you took? I mean, how was Derek Jeter, the captain of the Yankees?
He's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Just couldn't have been better. He stood there, talked to me, talked to the kids. Giambi did. The kid from the Red Sox that came over, the center field.
Kobe Ellsbury?
Yeah.
No, not Ellsbury, the other guy. The other
Damon?
Johnny Damon came over. The only guy that didn't was A-Rod. He kind of was like, he looked over. I'm not coming over there. So that was it. But I did meet A-Rod later, and he was very nice at a different setting. He was very nice.
So we had Todd Frazier on our podcast last year. We were at the Little League World Series, which is, if you haven't been to Williamsport, magic.
Great.
Coach, you've been.
I've been. I went there with the kids. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had.
As Tito Francona once said, it's where baseball meets the county fair. What a perfect description of Williamsport.
It's unbelievable. I can't describe it.
I never thought that the TV broadcast, like I thought it was magical just watching the games. And then I went just 2 years ago for the very first time. Yeah. In fact, the first time I ever went, God bless my wife, our first baby was 10 days old, Coach. But her dad, my father-in-law, had always wanted to go, and he lives on the West Coast, and he was in town, and we kind of looked and said, do you think we can drive up to Williamsport? She said, you got to go. You got to do it. So I left my baby at 10 years old to go to Williamsport.
I've done worse. My twins were born on the day of our first game.
Really?
First game we played that year. Twins were born, and I was gone. And
so where was the team?
We played here actually.
Oh,
in town.
So as soon as the game was over,
I got back to the hotel at midnight. I think that day we took the babies home the next day, and we won 19-0 that year. We started the season 19-0. So it was a good thing.
It was a good thing. Yeah. You didn't take any heat for skipping the press conference that day, right?
I went to the. I did.
You did the press.
I never skip.
Right.
You know, the press. Everybody thinks I don't like the press. It's partially true, but you do. That's part of your job, and you do it. And you know, I've done the press conference here for a long time, 47 years, and I had a lot of guys in journalism come through there, and most of them tell me, you know, Coach. In fact, I was with Ian Eagle at the Final Four, and he says, you know, you got me once, but it taught me to make sure I was prepared and ready when I went to a press conference, because I'm not going to get that again.
Right.
And so his son, Noah, was smarter. He never asked me a question.
No. And I don't know if you saw, talk about father-sons, Noah and Ian Eagle are nominated for the same award. So they're going up against each other for, I think, I'm going to get this wrong, but an Emmy in broadcasting. He posted on Instagram, I said, shoot.
Well, I met Noah here. He gave a little talk actually about his father, and I called Ian and I said, you know, your son's probably, well, he's way better than you were at this stage. But he might even be a little better anyway.
Right. Well, back to Todd Frazier. Sorry, we got off.
I
interrupted.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we're sitting, and my dad gets a text from Todd Frazier, and it's a video of Todd Frazier pretending to be a referee on a block call, which is the funniest thing, and we'll be sure to show you the video. But you know, Todd Frazier and my dad are buddies, and he said, Tim, what are you doing? He said, tomorrow we're driving up to Syracuse, we're interviewing Coach Boeheim. And what did Todd Frazier say?
Todd Frazier said the absolute best. He said, make sure you tell Coach that I said hello. So I texted back, like, how do you know him?
Yeah, he was.
And how did you meet him?
He came to my office. He was playing on an assignment, I think.
Rehab assignment,
so
right?
He came in, we talked baseball, basketball for an hour. He's a huge basketball fan. Huge.
A huge Syracuse basketball fan.
Yeah, he grew up in New Jersey. For some reason he's just Syracuse was his team. And
right.
Yeah, really great guy. Really nice.
Right.
Guy.
He told me he played against J.R. Smith in high school. And there was a little taunting going on at the end of the first half. And then J.R. got 37 in the second half with Todd trying to guard him or something like that. It was hilarious.
It wouldn't have gone well.
Right. So, Coach, when you look at the Yankee team now, I know you watch most of the games from your house, but when you see an Aaron Judge play, and what do you see when you watch someone 6'7", 282 do those things?
I'm a big fan of his because of how he is, like Jeter. Not just that he's a great baseball player, but how he is, how he leads. So I've been a big fan of his from the very first day. And I remember we had the discussion in our house, and we're all pretty good Yankee fans. And when the question was if they're re-signing Judge, we just said right out, they either re-sign him or we're no longer Yankee fans. And I mean, I can't even believe there was ever a hesitation of something like that. Because he's what it's about. He's what you want your sports heroes to be like. They're, obviously there's a lot of flawed guys in the sports world, but he's not one of them. And just the way he carries himself. I think playing baseball in New York when you come in, it's the hardest place to play. I mean, you see a lot of guys come in and just can't handle it. It's tough, but the way he handles it, the way Jeter handled it. I had never really met him until Dick Vitale's gala, and I met him down there last year. He was nobody nicer than that guy.
Right. And Coach, as you know, baseball is not a game built to be a position player and be that big. He is such a graceful athlete. If he were let's say he were on your basketball team at 6'7", 282 with that kind of athletic skill, where would he play in your zone defense to get the best out of him?
He'd be around the basket for sure. He's a perfect epitome of a power forward guy.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to play both. Some guys can do it and have done it. Just like football, basketball. When I was here, the whole football team, the 59 team won the national championship, so football was great here when I came in '62, and with a guy named Dave Bing, who was really pretty good. And we would play against the football players, and they would come in the gym and just go at it with us all out, and really good basketball players that were football players.
Right.
Coach, when I was here, I played, humble brag, I played some pickup basketball games in my time at Archbold, but I also played in an intramural league. There's 3 different divisions. We were in the lowest. We didn't lose a game. We played great, right? So they bumped us up to the highest because we beat every team by 20, right? We had a really good team. And the first game, Coach, I don't know how this was allowed. It's probably been outlawed, or maybe I'll get in trouble for saying this. It was like the entire football team was on there. And the backup quarterback on the time, and it's escaping me, he was like all New York City basketball, and he was playing Syracuse football, and in the first play, I'm backpedaling, they win the tip-off, it wasn't close, and he says, you better watch out, and he dunks, and he would have dunked through me if I hadn't just backed all the way up to the end line, and we didn't win a single game that season. So it goes to show the players, the transferring of skill from baseball to basketball to football is incredible.
Well, a lot of football players played basketball, and if they could choose, they always chose basketball. But if they were really like Donovan McNabb, really liked basketball, they did not want him to play basketball here. They wanted him to work out and play. And he came. They had no say. He just came over and played for 2 years, and he was on our Final Four team. Then the next year, he actually played. Pretty good player, he just got too big. He get big, but...
Coach, did you ever have a basketball player who played for you who was also a really good baseball player, who was recruited maybe to play somewhere else, and you got him to play basketball here?
Well, Jerry McNamara was a really good baseball player growing up. He hit it, incredible. He was a really great athlete, but, none of my guys ever really lasted very long in baseball. My sons, they liked baseball until 8th grade, and Jimmy claims he hit 700, and there's no statistical information. He claims he hit 700. They both stopped playing. It was too boring. They just said, we're not playing.
Right. Well, Coach, every week on our podcast, I do what we call Team Tim, and I come up with a team that connects to baseball. So in this case, we have a baseball team of guys who all played basketball at a very high level along the way. So I'm going to read you my team, and I just want to see if I know you'll recognize all these names. The first baseman is Chuck Connors.
Wow, the rifleman.
The rifleman. So Jeff, Chuck
None
Connors.
of these guys out here, none of these students.
Chuck Connors played in the big leagues.
Oh,
Chuck Connors played in the NBA, and he had a television show called The Rifleman, in which he comes out on and shoots a gun before the show even starts. Coach, you remember it well, right?
Yeah, Johnny Crawford was his son. But I watch too much television. My wife will tell you that. I'm a bad TV
Oh, that's so good. So the second baseman on my team is Delino DeShields.
Really good basketball player.
So I asked him once, he was going to Villanova to
Yes,
play college
yes.
basketball, and then he ended up signing to play baseball, play for the Expos, Dodgers, a bunch of other teams. So I casually asked him, I said, Delino, if you had chosen basketball, do you think you could have played in the NBA? And he started yelling at me. He goes, of course I could have played in the NBA. Who do you think you're talking to here? And I got such a kick out of that. Did you run across him?
Yeah, he was good. I would question him. It would not have been a sure thing.
Right.
I think his daughter was really good.
Right.
One of his daughters is really good basketball player. But he was good.
Right.
Good player.
We say this every
But
week
there's
on
no
the show.
player that doesn't think he would have been a great
Of course,
player.
better at something else.
Yeah, LeBron thinks he'd be the best tight end in the history of football, which he might have been, but we have no proof of that.
Right. So our third baseman is Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge gets a really bad rap as a baseball player because he played so little baseball, and then they just sent him to the big leagues when he was like 21 years old, and he had very little reps at baseball, and he did okay, but he didn't do really, really well, and then he goes on to have a great NBA. Did you run across him somewhere as a basketball player?
Great player.
Yeah.
He'd never forget beating UCLA. He drove the length of the court to beat a really good UCLA team.
Yeah,
at the buzzer.
I was at that game.
I
yes.
wasn't. I saw it.
It was incredible. So the shortstop is Dick Grote.
Great basketball player at Duke.
Duke.
Great basketball player, and announced basketball at Pittsburgh for 30 or 40 years probably, but he was really a good basketball player, All-American.
All-American. And the
good.
MVP of the National League in 1960 as a shortstop. Played on the famous Mazeroski game. Now, Coach, you were more of a Dodger and a Braves fan, but do you remember the 60 World Series? You were probably 14, 15 years
I was
old.
16.
Right. Do you remember?
Mazeroski?
Yes.
Hitting the home run?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. It knocked it out of there.
Right. So, Coach, in that game, there were 0 strikeouts in that game. Final score was 10-9. In today's day and age, there are 20 strikeouts. In Game 7 of every World Series, there were 0 strikeouts in that game. That's how the game was played back then.
Not anymore.
Not.
I love the Yankees, but if they don't hit a home run, they strike out.
Right.
You know, it's like just the way they play. And
Right.
It's. I find it hard to watch. I mean, I'd rather go see a game where there's some hits and, fielding plays come in then. But, that's just the way the game is now.
Right. All right, let me finish my team. So, outfield, we have Kenny Lofton.
Really good basketball player.
Right. Played at University of Arizona. Another guy that I asked if he could play in the NBA and just shook his head at me. What an insult it was that I would even ask him.
No, he would have struggled.
Right.
He picked the right spot.
Right. Tony Gwynn, who was the all-time assist leader at San Diego State and instead signed to play baseball. And by the way, Coach, his hands are half the size of my hands. I have really big hands for a tiny little guy.
Yeah.
But Tony couldn't even palm a basketball.
I can't either.
You can't palm a basketball.
Never could.
Coach, none of this matters. I can palm a basketball with both hands at the same time. Doesn't do me any good as a 68-year-old sports writer. So how did you get by with relatively small hands for a 6'4" two-guard?
Very good hands. Small, but very good. I averaged less than 1 turnover a game
Really?
Of course, I didn't handle it that much. The other guy handled it.
The other guy was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, Cotton Nash. Do you remember Cotton Nash?
Yes.
Cotton Nash played in the...
Hard to forget a name like that.
Right. He played in the big leagues and in the NBA. I don't pretend to remember him very well.
He was pretty good.
Right.
He was good. I'm trying to think. Kentucky basketball?
I'm not even sure where he went to school. My DH is Frank Howard, and I grew up watching him play.
I never saw him play.
He got 33 rebounds in a game for Ohio State. He's 6'7", 300 pounds in his prime. So he's my designated hitter. So I'll just run through my pitchers and we'll get over this. Dave DeBusschere is my number one starter.
Great basketball player.
Right. And did you ever run across him? Did you ever meet him?
I think I met him once, but he was just one of the toughest guys ever to play. He was just 6'8" maybe, but he was just got every rebound, could shoot it, and played with the Knicks, great Knicks teams with Frazier and Bradley and Willis Reed, the great Willis Reed. Dave DeBusschere was really good.
Right. So I told Coach about this list. I didn't give him the names, and he said, "Do you have Gene Conley on the list?" The answer is yes. Gene Conley played for the Celtics, pitched for the Red Sox. You remember him, right?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't very good. The Celtics were too good. They were too good. But he was big, long guy.
All right, just to finish, we had Mark Hendrickson and we had Steve Hamilton, also pitched for the Yankees. And our catcher, the only catcher I could find who had was Joe Mauer, just went in the Hall of Fame for baseball. He told me his senior year in high school in Minnesota, he was an all-state basketball player. So I said, Joe, like, how many points a game did you average your senior year? He's the most modest kid in the world. He goes, oh, I was just a defensive specialist. I really didn't score. I said, how many a game did you score? He said, I scored 22 points a game. And he was a defensive specialist. They are so humble. So he's one of the few guys who doesn't say, I could have played in the NBA.
It's a lot harder to do than people think. You know, they all think they could play in the NBA. It's not that easy.
No.
So, Coach, as you know, we're a father-son podcast, and I know you've answered every question under the sun about coaching your sons at Syracuse, and so we're not going to go down that lane because you've answered everything, you've said everything. He's just another player. He's got to go out there and compete. We get it. However, we have a little hypothetical because that's what dads and sons dealing. This is what men talk about in there. What if this happens? So, Dad, why don't you present the hypothetical we came up with on the car ride this morning?
Okay, well, if you in your prime, so Jim Boeheim, 1965, we'll say, is guarding either one, Jimmy Boeheim or Buddy Boeheim today. You are guarding your son in your prime against their prime. How is that?
I kill him. They will not, if they ever hear I said that, they will fight. But no, look, there were 12 NBA teams when I played in the Eastern League, which is a weekend league, and there were actually 12 or 16 teams in the Eastern League. So all the guys in the country that couldn't get there were 12 teams. They only had 10, 12 guys. They didn't have rosters. So we were all playing Saturday and Sunday, and I was going to school and coaching, but every weekend. So I got a chance after my first year there. I was called. I could have gotten a contract with the Pistons, but I was here starting to coach, and I just said, they have Dave Bing, Jimmy Walker, and a guy named Howard Comives.
Butch Comives,
a great player.
Right.
They have those three guys. I'm not even close to as good as those three, so I'm going to be the fourth guard there. And that means, I'm not going to play. Because in those days, they didn't play a lot of guys. So I just decided to stay here. But I was a pretty good player. My sons are good. They're not that good. They're not that good.
So, Coach,
they will fight this to the end. But that's, I don't know.
What were the games like when they were 12, 13, 14, 16? Well, when did they start to think I could beat Dad at something here?
Well, we never really talked about it. When they started to shoot as well, I shot with them for a while. When they started to shoot good, I just quit. But they used to play each other. You know those Nerf baskets you have in the house when they were 8, 7 years old? It was so physical. I had to go in and referee the games. And they would just beat each other up. And Jimmy was older and stronger, so he would foul more, and I'd call a foul, and he said, "You're just helping Buddy,"
Did you have any holes in drywalls from those games?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure.
They went at it. There was blood. There was blood in there. But, that's how you get better. The younger brother is always better. You know that, right?
Of course.
The younger brother is always the best player because the older brother beats on him.
Right.
We've had numerous examples.
Right.
I mean, Billy Owens and, Buddy, tons and tons. Jerry McNamara, all had older brothers. Queth Dewaney, they all took that beating and they got better.
Right.
Well, it's pretty obvious. My best friend, one of my closest friends, 4 brothers, and the third brother is the best player to play at my high school, and all the brothers played in the high school, because when he was playing with us, 17-year-olds, he was 11. And he ended up being 6'5", but at that time he was 5'1", and so he had to learn how to handle, so when he gets to be 6'5", he's a 6'5" point guard versus my buddy who's a 6'5" center.
Yeah.
Right? So he doesn't
The
have
last
the
one's almost always better.
Right.
Almost always.
More with Coach Jim Boeheim coming up next on Is This a Great Game or What?
All right, so Coach, you played with Dave Boeheim. Who's the best player you ever played against? Was there? I mean, you must have played against some spectacular all-time Hall of Famer, right?
Well, we played, Dave was the best player in college basketball. We played against Bill Bradley, who was a great shooter and great player. He was an amazing player. I mean, he never missed. People shoot today and they can shoot. He could shoot with Steph Curry. Steph Curry does crazy things.
Right.
But just shooting at one spot, Bill Bradley could shoot with him. Klay Thompson beat him. We had them both in the Olympics, and they would shoot after practice every day from spots, without dribbling, without move, And Klay would beat him a lot.
Right.
But when you talk about doing crazy shots, nobody's like Steph Curry. But just one of a kind type of shooter.
Right. So you said you played golf with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I like Michael. We got along. We've always gotten along well. He's a really good golfer, not as good as he thinks he is, but he's really good. When I played with him, he was a 3, probably a 2 or 3, but he played, he gambles, he plays for a lot, and a lot of guys made some money from Michael because he thinks he's a 3 when he's probably really not quite that, and these guys are like scratch, and they say they're 3s,
Big difference there between a scratch and a 5, let's say.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between being a scratch and being a pro.
Right? Huge.
I think Kenny Harrelson said, you know what the difference between being a scratch and being a pro? You turn on the lights, you go out in the tournament, and see what, the country club, I used to play in the amateur tournaments, and guys that were won at country clubs would try to qualify for the state amateur, shoot 80, because it was not playing at your club.
Right.
Same thing with that type of thing. But Michael's a really good player, a really good golfer.
Right. But you were a 2, and you were a scratch in your day.
2 or 3 at my best.
So who's the best golfer you ever played with?
Well, I'm pretty good friends with Joey Sindelar and Wayne Levy, who were...
They're from up here, right?
Yeah, they're from here. I actually played against Joey Sindelar and Mike Hobart, who was on the tour, when they were 17.
Right.
We played in a 2-ball at Ithaca Country Club, and I shot 33 on the front, and my team, we were 5 down.
Really?
We were 5 down.
3 under, you're 5 down.
Yeah, 5 down. They made 1 par, 3 eagles, and the rest birdies.
But Coach, that speaks again to what I talk about all the time. It's the different levels that people don't understand, that a scratch and a PGA Tour player are completely different animals, correct?
It's not even, first of all, I play with a guy that's a +1. He's really good. He plays at Oak Hill. So that's, you play there, you're a +1. And he's really good.
Right.
But the difference between that and the tour guy, I mean, it's not even something you can talk about how good they are.
Right.
They play courses that are tricked up. They're all the way back. They're hard, fast. The pins are in impossible positions. I mean, it's just, and they shoot 66.
Right.
I never forget, Lee Trevino came here and played Drumlins, which is a good golf course. I played there. I shot 70
Great
there.
course,
I was
yeah.
good. And he played, and I think the first 9 holes, he was clowning around. He made a birdie. He made a bunch of pars. So somebody said to him, Lee, that's the best you can do? He looked at the guy. He birdied the first 8 holes on the back nine. And he looked at the guy and says, how's that? He went birdie, 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 birdie. And it's a harder back nine at Drumlins through the woods and stuff. Birdie, 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 just like that. And he says, how's that? Right. I mean, there weren't even 200 people there. You know, I actually went and saw the big 3, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus at Oak Hill. And I saw him again, but I saw him twice. And I remember one guy, Gary Player hit a forward on his par 5 and knocked it on the green. It was a really good shot. And the guy said, Mr. Player, can I ask a question? He said, sure. And he says, from over here, it looks like you're lined up wrong. And he looks at the guy and says, from over here, I'm lined up just right. And I just laughed. I mean, a lot of great golf stories. I love golf.
Yeah.
It's a different game.
Coach, you mentioned you've played Augusta.
Twice.
Which is a dream for any golfer to have that. What was that like?
It's better than you think.
Really?
In other words, you think it's the best, like whatever thought you think something's the
Magic.
best.
Yeah.
Oh, it's better.
Wow.
It's like you can't even believe you're walking there.
Coach, when you got to Amen Quarter, are you saying, oh my gosh, I'm at Amen Quarter?
It's just the whole experience. It's not when the members course is 6,400 yards. Where they play now, I couldn't even break 100. I shot 77 from the member, which was at that time was where they played.
Right.
It wasn't. That's why they moved all the tees. I mean, these guys would have been shooting in the 50s there. It was so short. Right. But the greens are really, they're difficult. They're fast. Right. They're really
We have
fast.
to ask him. So we do a Kirkshin quandary every single week. It's a question, and with the Masters, we ask an 18 handicap goes and plays where the pros are playing on Sunday at Augusta.
And Coach, the 18 handicap, you know him. He plays 5,900 yards from his little municipal court.
Oh, yeah.
He rakes 3-footers. He tees it up in the rough occasionally. A triple bogey is the highest he can go. If that
So me.
18 has to play every shot by every rule on Sunday at the Masters. And he's playing next to Phil and Tiger, meaning
With the
he's
crowd.
facing pressure he has never faced. I don't think he can take it back.
No.
What is that guy shooting, Coach?
If he has 24 balls to start, he won't finish. He'll need to get somebody to run him out some balls. That guy can't shoot 150 at Augusta.
Right. I said 175.
Yeah.
That's what he's
Yeah.
going to shoot, because he's going to take a 20 on a hole.
Just a good player, a 5 handicapper at Augusta the way it is now,
Right.
Has no chance to shoot better than 90. I mean, those courses are so hard that you just can't put it in your mind. It's like Oak Hill. I used to play Oak Hill. I used to shoot 78 or 9 from but when they set it up for a tournament and grow the roughs, you can't see your ball in the rough there.
Right.
I'll never forget, I was standing next to a pro at the Open, and Arnold Palmer was in the rough, and you couldn't see his ball. And he hit a 3-wood. It's the 13th hole. It's one of the great par 5s. He hits a 3-wood out of there, and he just, grass is flying everywhere. His ball goes boom, 230 yards out of this lie that I couldn't see the ball.
With a 3-wood.
With a 3-wood, and the pro was standing, I remember who it was, and he said, I was in the only one on that side of the fairway, and he says, nobody has any idea what he just did there.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
And that's what they do.
Right.
They do shots that, everything on TV, it looks like when you run, Saquon Barkley runs off tackle, I could do that.
Right.
No, you couldn't.
Right.
It just looks easy.
And Coach, that's one reason I love baseball so much. I believe it's the hardest game in the world to play, and the average fan has no comprehension of the speed of the ball. That what 98 miles an hour up near the tower actually looks and feels like. What a ground ball hit by Vlad Guerrero when you're even with third. It's an incomprehensible rate of speed. You must recognize that in baseball, the degree of difficulty is exceptionally high.
Incredibly hard. And, you know, I compare it to a tennis serve. I play tennis, like to play. Can you imagine somebody hitting a 130-mile-an-hour serve at you? You would be like this, and it would be there before you even moved your racket. And yet you watch it on TV, and you think, oh, I could. No, you couldn't do that. you couldn't do that. I mean, it's like, I went to Eddie Feiner.
Yes, of course.
So
he was an underhand pitcher who played with 5 guys on the team, and he would strike Willie Mays out.
He threw it 100 and whatever miles an hour behind his back. And I remember I went up there to play once, and I was there like this, and the ball, where's, oh, it's right there. It's like I heard it. I mean, imagine a 105-mile-an-hour fastball. Normal people would not even, they wouldn't even see it, let alone hit it. I mean,
but Coach, once they saw it, they would be so afraid of it that they would never get near it again.
No.
Again, the fear of the ball in that.
I was a little afraid, and I mean, I didn't bail out, but a little bit hesitant in Little League when they're throwing 50 or 60, whatever.
Right. Well, when your boys stopped playing baseball, 8th grade, that's when I stopped. Yeah. And your boys, a little bit different in size than me, but all the other kids got bigger, got stronger, and were throwing harder.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't keep up. And it's the greatest one-on-one sport of all time, baseball, because every play starts with an ISO. It's me against you. I don't want you to hit the ball, and I want to get on base. And that's what makes baseball so special.
It's hard. It's a hard
sport.
Ted Williams said that.
Yes, Ted
hardest thing to do.
I have a million Ted Williams stories. We're not going to tell them all today, but the first time I met Coach, he doesn't remember this, was 15 years ago when Kelly Kirkjian is a freshman at Syracuse. And Kelly had just finished her senior year in high school, and I can't help but tell Coach that my daughter, who's a freshman here, made 54 out of 56 free throws her senior year in high school. That's 96.4%. And Coach looks at me and goes, well, she's way better than any of our guys.
That's our guys, we were shooting about 70. No, 68, I think, that year.
Right. And Kelly is this tall. She's my daughter. But it speaks again to Coach that if you put your mind to something, you can be this tall and be great at it if this is what is important to you.
That's why I think sports is great. I mean, not to lecture, but if you can do that, she can do that, she'll be good at what she does. She'll do something, she'll be good at it. If you can put your mind to something in sports and do it, it relates to life. You will be able to put your mind to something else that you need to do to be successful. And it's funny, but we've had tons of basketball players, even the ones that struggle a little bit, getting through that experience, they end up doing better than normal in life because you learn these lessons.
2 years later, when I was touring Syracuse, we also got to meet Coach when Kevin Belby was showing us around. And I can't help but notice you didn't tell Coach about me starring in Guys and Dolls my junior year, hitting a high A. I mean, I think Coach is equally as
That's impressive.
All right, look, Jeff is a good little athlete, but in high school, unlike his sister, he was the star of all the school plays. He played Oscar Madison in The Odd Couple, 511 lines. I counted them because I read them with him one night. So yes, and there's a certain skill to being, and this is why he's a radio guy now in Cleveland, is he's been up on stage before.
Well, I don't tell everybody, but in 6th grade, I starred in the school play, The Man Who Wore the Rose-Colored Glasses.
Really?
Now, who ever heard of that play?
You were the star of the. Did you have to sing or?
I just talked. I wasn't that good either. Nobody else would take the part. It wasn't that I was good. Nobody would take the part.
So Kelly was going to play. We thought she might go play Division III basketball, but she said, "I don't want to play anymore. I want to go to Syracuse. I want to be a big-time school." So this is so pathetic, Coach, but only I would follow this because I followed everything about her career as a basketball player. Her first game here was a sorority basketball game, and I said, "Please call me after the game to tell me what the score was. It doesn't get any smaller than this." So she calls and says, "Okay, Dad, we won 20-16." I said, 20-16? I said, how many points did you score? She said, 20. She said half the girls on the team had never played, so they kept throwing it to me and saying, Kelly knows how to play. Beauty of sports, the beauty of sports.
And my brother-in-law went to Syracuse too, Kelly's husband. And the first question my dad asked after, that's a big thing. You have daughters. It's like when you tell your dad there's a boy in your life, it's way different than when the boys say, hey, I'm dating a girl. You're like, oh, great, awesome, good for you. The first question out of my dad's mouth, I'm not kidding, was, can he shoot the three? And he can. He was a really good basketball player in high school in Buffalo.
Coach, I'm hopeless, all right? I love baseball. I love basketball. I love sitcoms from the 60s, and I don't know anything else in the world. But this has taken me an awful long way. And then when we run into somebody who's even older than me loves basketball more than I do and loves baseball also, this is so good for an old guy like me.
This is a great day. I love it. I love
So,
talking
Coach,
this stuff.
one more story, and this is one of my favorite basketball stories. So, Troy Brewer was our neighbor. We had a big hoop outside of our house. He'd come and he'd jam on it, and he played in a high school in the area, and he went to
Montrose Christian, where Kevin Durant went to high school. Yeah.
So his dad is talking to him, and he's saying, Troy, if you want to play in the NBA, if you want to play Division I, you got to go before practice and shoot at 5 a.m. for 6 a.m. practice and shoot after practice. And he said, Dad, I'm already 2 practices a day doing all this stuff. Nobody's crazy enough to do it. Only one guy does it, Kevin. Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he does it.
Sorry, I ruined the story.
Kinda stole the-
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going there,
That's
Jeff.
why I left Montrose Christian out at first.
And Kevin still does it.
Right.
He still does it.
When he played in the Olympics, every year we had him, he was the best Olympic player. He would come home and he would go, and the next day go to high school and play with high school kids.
Right.
The next day when he got home for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, nobody does that.
Right.
Kevin Durant did.
Right.
Well, that was going to be my question, and you just answered it. Was like, who was that guy, whether it was on the Olympic team or teams you coached, that just was next level?
Kobe's next level. Kevin, I mean, they all are to some extent, but Kobe, when he first came with us, he's just a killer. He's like Jordan. Jordan and him are the 2 guys that I've seen that are killers. They take no prisoners. When they come in, if they're playing ping pong, they're beating you as bad as they can. Whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. They come in the gym. The first day we had lost in the World Championship, LeBron and all those guys were young. Kobe came the next year, and they were going and practicing. Kobe was pushing and knocking guys around. LeBron said, Kobe, what are you doing? And he looked at LeBron, I can't say it. He says, I did not come here to blank lose. And then the next play he hit LeBron again, and then LeBron started hitting back, and then that team started all doing that. And we never lost another game. We won 3 gold medals in the Olympics, 2 in the World Championships, and Kobe Bryant just would not let anybody lose.
I saw this clip. It's been running on my feed 100 times. Was when Kobe told LeBron in a game, I'm going to run through his chest. It was Paul Gasol.
His best friend.
Right, his best friend and teammate for years. And he said, I need to set the standard.
He hit him, it was right in front of the bench. He hit him so hard, Paul Gasol went down to the floor like he was dead, like he was shot. He hit him right in the, he couldn't move. And he tried to say Kobe, and Kobe just walked away, just like that.
When I met Coach the first time 16 years ago, he told me the story about Kobe when they played Angola. And it's like 40 points ahead of the United States. And Coach says that Kobe looks at the guard on the other team and goes, I'm going to, well, you finish the story.
It was actually, you're close, Dominican Republic. It was Vasquez from Maryland.
Oh,
Great
that's
Vasquez, right?
He was a great player, but he was, a freshman at Maryland. We're up 50. Kobe picks him up full court, takes it away, and makes a layup. So the guy taking it out of bounds was still standing there. He took it and threw it right back to it, and Kobe took it away and laid it in again, and Grievous walked off the court. Coach called timeout. Kobe came to the huddle, and you don't talk to Kobe. He's himself in his world. Kobe, we're up 52. And I can't tell you again what he said. He's out there, I'm kicking his ass. I mean, it's 52 points. I just, okay.
Right. What are you going to say at that point?
Say,
Kobe Bryant.
But he wanted the toughest guy, And the first Olympics that we needed to win, that was our first gold, Spain got close, and he just took the ball and scored.
Right.
He said, I got it. Just took the ball and scored. Took the
Get
ball.
out of
That
my
was
way.
it.
So, Jeff, we've covered Otto, we've covered baseball, we covered basketball, we covered golf. Coach, this has been an absolute pleasure. You were delightful. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast.
It's probably not that good of a thing, but I have a knowledge of all sports. I don't know if that's any good or
No,
not, but
it's
that's
huge.
all I've ever thought about. It's fun.
Thank you, Coach Boeheim,
Thank you.
for joining us. Thank you, Newhouse Sports Media Center. Really appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you,
And,
Coach.
Thank you to our students who came and got to see a little inside look at our podcast. And as always, thank you for being a part of our family. You're part of our family now, Coach. So thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Thank you to Coach Boeheim and the amazing team at the Newhouse School, including Olivia Stomsky and Julie Wallace. Thank you for helping us set this up and put it together. And, of course, thank you to Coach Boeheim.
Right. So after the taping, Coach Boeheim shakes my hand, and then he gets this rather solemn look on his face, and he goes, I can't believe I didn't talk about Sandy Koufax today.
Oh, no.
And it's all right, but he said Sandy Koufax is the greatest pitcher that I've ever seen. And he said, if you pick one pitcher in Major League history to pitch one game for you, it has to be Sandy Koufax. That's how passionate Jim Boeheim is about baseball, and especially about the guys he grew up watching. And he was angry at himself for not reminding us how great Sandy Koufax was. So he did that off camera with me, just showing again his passion for sports, including baseball.
Back with you again. Thank you so much for listening. We'll have another episode tomorrow. So we're going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting this week. So more great game or what. We're happy to do it, and we're glad that you're listening. Thank you so much. And as always, thank you for being a part of our family.